Hi, Rabbi. Thank you. How you doing? All good?
Baruch Hashem. Well,
Thanks.
ready
Sorry
to
I'm late.
roll. No problem.
Thanks.
Today we begin a brand new section. We're starting to learn all the laws relating to brachos. So we're really making way through the book of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Living Jewish, just to see where we've gone. We started the day and we davened and we learned and we conducted ourselves like a bench. We prepared our food and we ate. And now it's time to learn about brachos, benching, and any other brachos that come up in life, in living Jewish. In this section of brachos, there are actually quite a lot of chapters. There are 48, 49, 50, 14 chapters, no less. 14 whole chapters dedicated to brachos. We'll start by talking about the bracha of Habitzi and Bezaydus. Then we'll speak about wine, and then just the different types of brachos, food, drinks, fragrances. After brachos, the different specific brachos. What brachos do you make on soup or on juice? What happens if you have a primary food and a secondary food? Which bracha comes first? Which bracha comes second? What happens if you made a mistake? And then add-ons to the meal. A full chapter dedicated to fragrances. Good news, a bracha for that as well. And special sites. There's a bracha for that as well. There's a special bracha the next time you're in Plet or you're in Ubishlanga, next time you're by the sea, there's a bracha for that. And finally, Hagoyim, the bracha that we say after coming out of a dangerous situation. So this is what's up ahead of us over the next couple of weeks. Let's start with Habitzi and Bezaydus. Okay, so before we actually begin, I am going to go through a little bit of an introduction about Habitzi and Bezaydus. Okay, so how much does a person need to eat in order to say the bracha of Habitzi? There is no minimum amount. Even if a person only wants to eat 1 crumb of bread, he needs to make the bracha of Habitzi. Why? Because as the Gemara says in Tractate Brachos, one is forbidden to benefit from this world in any way without blessing Hashem. So before we have any form of benefit in this world, we want to make a bracha, which means that when we talk about brachos, we're not only talking about foods, but any type of benefit. So now there is a minimum amount when we talk about bread, but that minimum amount is only as far as how much a person needs to eat to need to make a bracha when one finishes eating, to need to bench. So in order to bench, a person needs to have at least a kazayas, which is maybe a slice of bread or so. But before having any form of benefit from this world, one should thank Hashem for giving us that which He has given us. Now, as of now, we've said that on bread, the bracha is Habitzi. But we'll see that you have what's a bit of a hybrid between bread and a cookie or cake. So cookie or cake, you won't say Habitzi. Habitzi lechem in the Aretz means thanking Hashem for lechem. Lechem means bread. If you're having a slice of cake or a cookie, that's not bread. And so a different bracha would be recited. The bracha that would be recited is thank you, Hashem, for giving us different types of satiating foods. So the bracha of Habitzi is said specifically on bread. But what we'll discover is that there is a snack bread, which is a hybrid between bread and snacks, meaning in one regard it's viewed as bread, but in another regard it's viewed as a snack. And then it will depend how it's eaten. If it's eaten as bread, then one would say Habitzi. And if it's eaten as a snack, then one would say Bezaydus. Now, how do we know if we're eating it as bread or we're eating it as a snack? So this is what will be discussed through the course of the chapter. And if it's considered bread, and one would need to say Habitzi, then one would need to also do the full after blessing, the full grace after meal, the full benching, all 4 blessings. And if it's considered a snack, and so one would not say Habitzi beforehand, but rather the different bracha of the Zaydas, then it would require a much shorter after blessing after it. So let's just, before we go straight into the chapter, let's just talk a little bit more, or it's now time to go into it. Chapter 1. We have something called Pas Haba'a Kistin. Pas Haba'a Kistin means snack breads. Or if you want to know exactly what it means bread that comes with kistin. Now, what's kistin? So we have 3 different opinions amongst the commentaries of the Talmud, what it means bread that is kistin bread. Some say that kistin comes from the word in Hebrew, kiss. You know what kiss means in Hebrew? It means a pouch. We're talking about bread that has a pouch inside of it with a filling. Some kind of filling. Some say it's specifically a sweet filling, others say any fillings. But if it's a bread that's not just plain bread, but it's actually got a filling inside of it, then that is Pas Haba'a Kistin. It's considered snack bread. It's not regular bread. And so if you're eating it as a snack, you would not say Habitzi, but rather Bezaydas. Others say kistin comes from the word koses. Koses means to chew. It's bread that you snack on, meaning it's not regular bread, but rather it's bread that you chew on, you snack on. And that's the definition of a zonot bread. And then there's a third opinion, which I'll leave for now. So that is what Bezaydas bread is. Bezaydas bread means it's bread, but it's bread that was made. Oh, the other opinion, sorry, that I didn't mention, is that it's bread, but instead of it being the flour being mixed with water, it was mixed with juice, with something sweet. And so the bread is sweet bread. It's more like a Danish. And since it's sweet, therefore it's not, people won't usually enjoy it as a proper meal. They'll rather enjoy it as a snack. And therefore, once again, you would not call it bread unless you're eating it as a meal. So that's what Pas Haba'a Kistin is. That's what Bezaydas bread is. Bezaydas bread is either bread that was made with sweetness, meaning made with a majority of sweet consistencies, whether it be juice is often the case for Bezaydas bread, or Bezaydas bread means regular bread, but it has a filling inside of it. So, for example, some people for Shabbos, when they're making their challah, so some of the dough they braid as challah, and some of the dough they make into what's called kokosh cake. They make it thin and flat, and then they put chocolate on it, and they roll it up, and it becomes like a big chocolate Danish, like rogalach. Now the dough is exactly the same. It's the same dough that they use both for the challah and for the chocolate Danish. Exact same dough. The only difference is the filling. Since this bread has a filling, so therefore it's no longer eaten as a main meal, it's rather eaten as a snack. And then once again, if you are eating it as a snack, the bracha wouldn't be Habitzi, but rather it would be Bezaydas. And the third scenario would be if the dough was made into a little cracker. If the dough was made into a little cracker, then according to some opinions, again, it is, although it is just bread and water, and it's dough, but since it was made into a cracker, it's something that you snack on, and therefore the bracha would be Bezaydas. These are the 3 opinions of what Bezaydas bread means. Either it's made with a majority of sweet ingredients, or it's made with a sweet filling or some kind of filling, or it is made as a cracker that you could snack upon. So how do we handle Bezaydas breads? What's the halacha with regards to Bezaydas breads? So let's see section 48, halacha number 1. If bread that is made from the 5 species, what are the 5 species? Anybody know what the 5 species are? wheat, barley, oats, rye, and spelt. These are referred to as the 5 species: wheat, barley, oats, rye, and spelt. So any bread that is made out of these 5 species, because if it wasn't made from these 5 species, if you have rice bread, or what are the other types you get today? Anyhow, there are a number of other types of health breads, but if the health breads weren't made with wheat, barley, oats, spelt, or rye, then they will never be Habitzi. They will be shahakol. But if they are made of these 5 ingredients, wheat, barley, spelt, oats, or rye, but it was made as kistin, meaning it was made in one of the 3 ways I described, either with fruit juice instead of water, majority of fruit juice, or with a sweet filling, or according to some opinions, as a cracker. So if you eat less than the quantity sufficient for a meal, meaning you just ate a small amount, you're in mood of a little snack. So you took a slice of Mazaitis bread, so you went to, let's say, Shoshana's bakery, and you got some rolls, and they said it's Mazaitis, and what that means is that these bread rolls are actually sweeter. They're made with juice instead of water. And therefore, it's not really the way you would make proper bread. If you want to get like proper bread, it's not going to be made with juice. It will be made with water. But this was made with juice, so it's more of a snack. So if you had just a little bit of one of these Mazaitis rolls, you ate less than what you would need to eat for a meal, then it is not Habitzi. You would not need to wash your hands beforehand. You won't wash your hands. You won't say Al Netilat Yadayim. You won't say Habitzi. Rather, instead, you'll make a separate bracha, Bayrei, Midei, Mazaitis. And afterwards, instead of doing the full benching, you will say a much smaller benching of Al Hamichya, which is in the siddur. That's if you ate it in a small quantity. But if you eat the amount sufficient for a meal, meaning if you buy Shoshana's breads and you say, this is actually what I'm eating for lunch and I'm going to eat it to the point that I'm full, then it's no longer a snack. And then the bracha will actually change. Instead of it being called Mazaitis bread, it will now be called Habitzi bread. Quite fascinating. So it all depends how much of it you eat. If you eat it as a snack, then it's considered Mazaitis. It's a snack. If you eat it for lunch in order to fill yourself, then the bracha becomes Habitzi. And then you would need to wash your hands, say Al Netilat Yadayim, and then say Habitzi. And when you finished eating, you would do the full benching like we do on a Friday night. Okay, now what is... Sorry?
If you eat a hot dog.
Meaning if you eat the bread together with other foods.
Yeah.
So, yeah, once you're eating, even if the bread alone isn't making you full, but if you're eating it together with meat and in all you'll become full, then it's a little bit of a gray zone. You should rather not eat it in such a way. You should rather use hamotzi bread or say hamotzi on a slice of regular bread and then go ahead and eat it. It becomes a little tricky. We'll get back to that. Let's first go through the chapter and then I'll give some practical examples, because there is certain scenarios where it's a matter of debate whether it's considered like you're eating enough bread for a meal or not. And one of those gray areas are if you're having less than the required amount of bread, meaning you're not having enough bread to fill you, but together with the other food, you're becoming full. So certainly you shouldn't eat such bread and say Mazaitis. And then it would be questionable whether you can or can't say Habitzi. So I see I already discussed outside, but he continues to discuss inside the examples of the different types of kistin bread, Mazaitis bread. Some say that it is bread made in the shape of pockets filled with fruit, meat, or cheese, or with similar things, or when it is made like a strudel, fruits and nuts rolled in dough and baked. By the way, if you like to put raisins into your challah, if you put too many raisins, then that challah will no longer be habitzi if you're eating a small amount, because then it already is considered like it has a sweet filling. It would just need
and when they make the sweet sugar a flour on top. What is popular in South Africa suddenly?
Yeah.
What you there? It's challah kosher for Friday night kiddush, or it's mezainis?
So obviously there's a certain turning point. I'm not sure exactly how to define that turning point. It seems that just by having a little topping on the top on the outside, it doesn't change the nature of the whole bread itself. But obviously there's a certain turning point, at which point it would now become more like a delicacy, like a treat. So I'm not sure exactly. I can't give you a definitive answer. Maybe we'll see an answer as we go ahead. Maybe I've just forgotten. So some say that it's bread that has pockets of sweet stuff inside of it, or even not sweet stuff. But if it's like a potato klish, according to some opinions. Others say if it's kneaded with oil or fat or honey or milk or eggs or fruit juices. Even if there's also water, but the water is the minority of the liquids. If majority of the liquids are not water, then that also makes it into snack bread. And we said either of the two would be considered snack bread, either of them in their own right. Now, how much does a person need to eat in order for it to be considered a meal? That is another whole discussion, which, please God, we will get into tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining.